Today we're going to talk about a quiet power stronger than opinion. You're in that room. Maybe it's a conference room, where the air is thick with the lingering warmth of coffee and the subtle nuances of power dynamics. Or perhaps it's just a casual gathering with friends, where laughter masks underlying currents. Or maybe it's happening in your own mind, late at night, as you replay a moment from the day. A question is thrown out. It's like a flare, igniting the room and tearing through the illusion of harmony. It's not a question seeking information. It's a challenge demanding you take a side, declare your stance, and offer your perspective as a sacrificial offering. All eyes, trained like a pack of hounds, turn sharply towards you. In that instant, time stretches. You can hear the heavy, awkward thud of your heart in your chest. You feel the subtle twitch of your cheek muscles as you strive to maintain a semblance of calm. Yet you know your micro-expressions are betraying the turmoil within. Silence. This silence isn't golden. It's a vacuum, voraciously consuming your energy, your composure. With each passing second, it magnifies your helplessness. Their gazes are filled with expectation, scrutiny, and perhaps a hint of schadenfreude. They're waiting for your performance, waiting for you to lay bare your thoughts so they can dissect, judge, and categorize them. Your brain, the tool you pride yourself on, has become a chaotic battlefield. Countless thoughts scream and collide. The article you read yesterday, the podcast you listened to last week, some influencer's opinion, your boss's preferences. Fragmented information floods in, only to dissipate like foam when you try to grasp them. You want to appear smart. You want to hit the nail on the head. You want to deliver an impeccable viewpoint, win this silent war, and reclaim control of the room. You feel an intense, almost physical urge. You have to say something, anything, because silence, in their world, equals ignorance, equals cowardice, equals surrender in this battle of intellect and will. So you force yourself to speak. You cobble together a sentence from the wreckage of your thoughts. But the moment you utter it, regret washes over you. It sounds so weak, so ungrounded. It's not your thought. It's merely a product of your anxiety. You start to justify, trying to build a defense around that fragile point. Your pace quickens. Your voice rises. You think this shows conviction, but in reality, it only exposes your panic. You notice a barely perceptible smile flicker across the face of the person opposite you. They've won. They didn't even have to say anything. They simply threw out the question and leaned back in their chair. Like a Roman emperor watching a gladiator struggle in the arena, savoring your discomfort. You weren't defeated by their argument. You were defeated by yourself, by your pathetic need to have an opinion. The air in the room resumes its flow. The topic shifts elsewhere, but you remain trapped there. In those few seconds of humiliation, you feel hollowed out, like a punctured balloon, left with nothing but a weary, crumpled shell. What you lost wasn't a debate. You lost your inner peace, your control over your own mind. You weren't defeated by their question. You were defeated by your own desire to respond. That desperate urge to cling to something, the rush to take a stand, to form a judgment, to plant your flag on some ideological high ground. This isn't the mark of a brilliant mind. It's an alarm signaling inner unrest. You thought that expressing yourself was power. You're about to discover that expression often means exposure. You believed you were entering the arena ready to fight. In reality, you are handing over the keys to your inner fortress. A reactive mind is a slave. It dances to every question, every provocation, every bait. Its existence is defined by external forces. But a proactive mind, the one you're about to start building, never reacts impulsively. It observes. It evaluates. It decides whether the game is worth playing. They ask for your opinion not to be enlightened by you, but to map you out, to categorize you, to find your pressure points and fault lines. The moment you offer your viewpoint, you hand over a blueprint capable of your own defeat. So that humiliating loss wasn't an intellectual failure, it was a strategic one. You engaged in a game you should never have played, following rules designed to drain your mental energy. Your biggest mistake wasn't giving the wrong answer, it was that you answered at all. This kind of power has a name. It belongs to someone. Its master was Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the Roman Empire, a man at the pinnacle of human power, who, every night in his tent, amidst the fires of war and affairs of state, wrote to his own soul. He governed not a throne of gold, but a fortress of the mind. The core of what he taught you must remember as if etched into your bones. External things cannot touch your soul. They cannot get inside. They remain outside. Your disturbance comes only from the judgments you make within. Do you understand? The question that shamed you, the harsh critique, the scrutinizing gaze, they are neutral in themselves. They are raw data, like raindrops falling into a lake, inherently meaningless. It's you. It's you who, with your opinions, this is an attack on me. I must win. I look foolish. Stirred the waters, created a tempest, and ultimately drowned yourself. Aurelius called it suspending judgment. This isn't stupidity or avoidance. It is the highest form of mental discipline. In an era where information, opinions, and emotions spread like a plague, most people's minds are an open square, allowing any passing merchant, charlatan, or rabble-rouser to set up stalls and shout their wares. Their thoughts are echoes of these external voices. Their emotions are puppets on the strings of these external influences. But you are going to build a fortress. The sole gatekeeper of this fortress is you. Your job is not to discern which opinion is better or which theory is superior. Your job is to stand at the gate, scrutinize every impression trying to enter your mind, and calmly say to the vast majority, "You have nothing to do with me. You are beyond my control. I hold no opinion of you." This is the true form of power, not making others heed your opinions, but ensuring your inner self does not heed any unsolicited opinions. While others sway in the storm of emotions, tossed by the waves of opinions, you stand at the highest point of your inner fortress, quietly watching. The storm will pass, and your fortress will remain unshaken. They think power lies in expression, in conquest, in piercing others with the sword of words. Aurelius knew that true power is internal, unshakable calm. This calm comes from a profound understanding. The only thing you can fully control is your thoughts. Your perspective on things is your only domain. So, when they ask for your opinion, they are actually asking for permission to enter your domain. Your opinion is the authorization you give the world to hurt you, and withholding opinion is revoking that authorization permanently. Let's consider a modern battlefield, one without swords but full of traps, high-stakes business negotiations. Imagine an experienced mergers and acquisitions lawyer, whom Will calls Arthur. He's seated at a massive mahogany conference table, facing 3 executives from the opposing company. The air is thick with invisible tension. The opposition has just thrown out a highly provocative term, one they know Arthur's side cannot possibly accept. It's a trap. What would an ordinary person do? They might immediately push back. They'd feel offended, their professionalism challenged. They'd launch into a lengthy discourse, citing legal clauses and analyzing market data, attempting to logically and morally demonstrate how absurd and unfair the opponent's terms are. Their voice would unconsciously rise. Their body would tense, and they'd find themselves ensnared in a debate the opponent had premeditated. They'd expend all their energy on expressing an opinion, and the result? They'd reveal their bottom line, their emotional triggers, and their anxiety to close the deal. The opposition would lean back, calmly observing, gathering all the information they need. They now know that if they press this button, Arthur will lose control. But Arthur isn't an ordinary person. When that provocative term is thrown out, what does he do? Nothing. He doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he picks up his water glass and takes a slow sip. His expression shows no anger, no surprise, just an unfathomable calm. He looks at the opposition, his gaze devoid of judgment. He even nods slightly, as if to say, "I hear you. That's interesting information." Those few seconds of silence are more powerful than any eloquence. In this silence he creates, the pressure rebounds. Now it's the opposition's turn to feel uneasy. They begin to wonder, why isn't he angry? Does our term not affect him? Does he have a trump card we don't know about? Does he not care about this deal at all? Arthur's silence becomes a black hole of information, swallowing all of the opposition's assumptions. A few seconds later, he calmly sets down his glass and, without addressing the term directly, shifts to an entirely unrelated yet equally important issue. He asks, "Before we discuss this, I'd like to confirm the latest details on employee placement from your side. What's your current proposal?" He doesn't reject. He doesn't accept. He doesn't judge. He holds no opinion on the provocation. He simply sidesteps the trap and regains control of the agenda. His actions demonstrate, your provocations, your emotional bait, have no effect on me. We will negotiate on my terms. This is Stoicism in practice in the 21st century. Arthur's mind is a fortress. What the opposition throws is merely a stone. He can choose to let it crash through the walls and cause chaos, or he can choose to watch it fall into the moat, creating a ripple and then calmness. He chooses not a better opinion. He chooses the higher power of withholding opinion. He makes the opposition realize they are facing not an emotionally driven adversary, but an unpredictable, indefinable enigma. And this awe is where his victory in the negotiation begins. Now, let's forge this power into a weapon you can wield at any moment. This isn't theory. These are actionable principles you can start practicing tomorrow. Forget complex debate tactics and remember these golden rules about withholding opinion. Rule 1. Use silence to reset the power dynamic. When a question or comment comes your way, your instinct is to respond immediately. Resist this instinct. Insert a deliberate pause between you and your response. 3 seconds. 5 seconds. This pause is not hesitation. It's a declaration. It declares, "I've received your message, but you cannot dictate my reaction time. Now the game is under my control." In this silence you create, the other party's expectations will falter. Their momentum will break. You shift from being a passive respondent to an active observer. Rule 2. Respond to intent, not the question. Stop getting caught up in the surface meaning of their words. Train yourself to see through the language and perceive the intent behind it. Is this question meant to gather information or to embarrass you? Is this criticism aimed at helping you grow or at reinforcing their superiority? Once you discern the intent, you step out of the language trap set for you. You no longer need to give an opinion on the question itself. You can address the intent directly. If the intent is malicious, the best response is no response. Your silence itself is the most disdainful reply. Your game is too trivial for me to engage. Rule 3. Use questions to return the burden of thought. When someone forces you to take a side or demands a black and white opinion, don't fall into the trap. Politely hand back the burden of thought with a higher level question. Why do you think this issue has only these 2 options? What do you see as the most important premise of this viewpoint? That sounds interesting. How did you arrive at this conclusion? See, you haven't given any opinion. You've just become a mirror, reflecting their question back at them. This not only allows you to extricate yourself, but also immediately exposes the shallowness of their thinking. A truly profound thinker will appreciate your question, while someone merely trying to manipulate you will be left speechless by your counter-question. Rule 4. State facts, not judgments. If you must speak, state only the indisputable, cold facts. Avoid using any emotionally charged adjectives or adverbs. Don't say, "This proposal is ridiculous." Say, "This proposal exceeds our budget by 30%. Don't say, "You're always targeting me." Say, "In the past 3 meetings, you've interrupted me 5 times." Facts are an unassailable shield, while judgments are the cracks in your armor. When you state only facts, you leave no emotional handle for the other party to grasp. You become like a rock, solid, calm, unmovable. Rule 5. Proactively declare, "I have no opinion on this." This requires great courage, but it's also the most powerful weapon. When others are fiercely debating, spitting words, you can calmly, clearly, and perhaps with a slight smile say, "I currently have no strong opinion on this matter." This statement is not surrender. It is a declaration of victory. It communicates, "My inner peace is more important than participating in this meaningless argument. My mental resources are reserved for more worthwhile pursuits." Instantly, you transform from a participant into a detached arbitrator. They will feel a twinge of shame at your calm, as they suddenly realize how easily they were ensnared by emotion and vanity. You are the only truly free person in the room. Remember, this isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about reclaiming the energy that external forces have wantonly plundered and protecting your most precious asset, your inner order and tranquility. So, back to that room. Back to the moment that made you feel humiliated, made you feel hollowed out. Now, look again with your renewed perspective. The person who threw out the question, the instigator of your panic, are they truly strong? Number someone who needs to provoke others' emotions to affirm their own existence is a person deeply lacking within. They are like an energy vampire, feeding off your anxiety, your anger, your self-doubt. And you have been generously feeding them all along. You thought you had to join the fray. That silence equated to failure. This is the greatest lie the world has sold you. It made you believe that your worth depends on the loudness of your voice, on how clear-cut your stance is, on whether you can win every verbal sparring match. Look at what this lie has turned you into. A weary debater, a soldier always ready for battle, a colony occupied by external voices. Now, it's time to end this war, not by winning it, but by refusing to participate. From today onward, consider your opinion as your most precious asset. Stop handing it out like cheap flyers to every passerby. Store it in the deepest, safest place within you. Only bring it out when you deem it absolutely necessary. When the world clamors for your stance, listen to the voice of Marcus Aurelius deep within. The emperor, at the pinnacle of power, yet more attuned to inner freedom than anyone, whispers to you, "Your peace is more important than their opinions. Your inner fortress does not welcome uninvited guests." Next time, when the question is thrown again, when all eyes focus on you, when that familiar silence starts to suffocate you, take a deep breath, feel the discomfort, then smile, because now you understand. They are not waiting for your answer. They are waiting for your permission to disrupt you. And your response is simple. You do not give it.